lettura di questa settimana si intitola Può l'uomo vedere Dio?
Can man see God?
La verità è
Truth is
una
one and
ed eterna. Realizza
Realize
l'unione
oneness
con
with it
essa
in your
nel tuo
deathless
sé
self,
immortale,
within.
nel profondo del tuo essere. Il
The
seguente
following
commento è
commentary
basato
is
sugli
based on the
insegnamenti di
teachings of
Paramahansa
Paramahansa
Yogananda.
Yogananda.
C'è
There is a
un'affermazione
saying in
nel
chapter 1 of
capitolo
the
primo
Gospel
del
of Saint
Vangelo
John
secondo Giovanni che
that
parrebbe
would seem
rispondere
to
con un no
respond with a definite
definitivo
no to the
alla
question,
domanda:
can man see God?
può l'uomo vedere Dio? Il
The
passo è
saying
questo.
is,
Dio
no
nessuno l'ha mai
man has seen
visto,
God at any
proprio il Figlio
time.
unigenito, che è
The
nel
only
seno del
begotten Son,
Padre,
which is in the
Lui lo
bosom
ha
of the
rivelato.
Father, He has declared Him.
Molti grandi
Many great
santi,
saints,
tuttavia,
however,
affermano
claim
di
to have
aver
seen
visto
God.
Dio. Se noi
If we
dunque
ask them,
chiediamo, può
can God
Dio
be
essere
seen,
visto?
rather than
Invece di può
can man
l'uomo
see
vedere
God?
Dio?
The
La
answer
risposta è
is
sì.
yes.
Altrimenti quei
Otherwise,
santi
those saints
affermerebbero il
lied,
falso e le
and else
scritture
the scriptures themselves
affermerebbero il
lie.
falso. Il punto
The
è
point
che
is,
non è
it is not
l'uomo,
man,
questo corpo
this
umano,
human
questi
body,
occhi
these
umani a
human
vedere
eyes
Dio.
that sees God.
Dio può
God
essere
can only
visto
be
solo con la
seen with
visione
spiritual
spirituale, con
vision,
l'occhio dell'anima.
with the eye of the soul.
Come afferma
As
la
the Bhagavad
Bhagavad
Gita puts
Gita
it in the 11th
nel capitolo
chapter,
11, tu non
thou
puoi
canst not
vedermi
see
con occhi
me with
mortali.
mortal
Ora
eyes.
dunque ti dono la
Therefore I
visione
now give
divina.
thee sight divine.
Contempla il mio supremo
Behold
potere
my
dello
supreme
yoga.
power of yoga.
Con queste
With
parole,
these words,
Hari,
Hari, the
il
exalted
glorioso
Lord of
Signore
Yoga,
dello yoga, si rivelò ad
revealed
Arjuna
himself to
nella
Arjuna
sua
in his
forma
infinite
infinita.
form.
Paramahansa
Paramahansa
Yogananda,
Yogananda, in
nella sua
Autobiography of a Yogi,
autobiografia di uno yogi,
describes the
descrive
supernal
quella divina
experience
esperienza
in words
con
more
parole
readily
più facilmente
comprehensive to modern
comprensibili alle
minds than the
menti
poetic
moderne
phraseology of the
della
Bhagavad Gita.
fraseologia poetica della Bhagavad Gita.
The
Il
chapter,
capitolo
An Experience
Un'esperienza
in
nella
Cosmic
coscienza
Consciousness,
cosmica è
is
tra
one
i
of the
brani
most
più belli e
inspiringly
ispiranti
beautiful
di
in
tutta la
all mystical
letteratura
literature.
mistica. Ecco un
Here is a
breve
brief
estratto.
excerpt.
Una
An
gioia
oceanic
oceanica
joy broke
proruppe
upon the
sulle
calm,
calme e
endless
infinite
shores of
rive
my
della
soul.
mia anima. Lo
The
Spirito
Spirit
di
of
Dio,
God, I
compresi,
realized,
è
is
beatitudine
exhaustless bliss.
inesauribile.
His body
Il suo
is
corpo è
countless
formato da
tissues
innumerevoli tessuti
of
di
light.
luce. La
I
divina
saw the
dispersione di
divine
raggi
dispersion of rays
scaturiva da una
poured
fonte
from an
eterna,
eternal source,
rilucente nelle
blazing
galassie,
into galaxies,
trasfigurata
transfigured with
da aure
ineffable
ineffabili.
auras.
Vidi
Again
i
and
lampi
again I
creatori
saw the creative
condensarsi
beams condense into
incessantemente in
constellations,
costellazioni, per
then
poi
dissolve
risolversi
into
in
sheets
lembi
of
di
transparent
fiamma
flame.
trasparente.
By rhythmic
Per
reversion,
ritmica inversione,
sextillion worlds
miriadi di
passed into
mondi si
diaphanous
trasformavano
luster.
in una diafana luminescenza.
Fire became firmament.
Il fuoco diveniva firmamento. Conobbi
I cognized
il centro
the center of the
dell'Empireo quale
Empyrean
punto di
as a point of
percezione
intuitive
intuitiva nel mio
perception in my
cuore.
heart.
Uno
A
splendore
radiating
irradiante
splendor issued
emanava dal
from my
mio
nucleus
nucleo
to every
verso ogni
part of the
parte della
universal
struttura
structure.
universale.
The
Udii la
creative
voce
voice of God I
creatrice
heard
di Dio
resounding as
risuonare come
Om,
Om,
the
la
vibration
vibrazione del
of the
motore
cosmic
cosmico.
motor.
Questo,
This,
affermano i
so the
grandi
great masters
maestri,
aver,
è
is
Dio.
what God is.
E questo
And this
insistono
also I
anche
insist,
è
is
ciò
what
che
we
noi
are
siamo
in our deepest
nella
reality.
nostra realtà più profonda. Così,
Thus,
attraverso
through
la
Holy
Sacra
Scripture,
Scrittura, Dio ha
God has
parlato
spoken
all'umanità.
to mankind.
Om, Om,
Listening to these wonderful words opens our hearts. It expands our fantasy, imagining what awaits each one of us. Swami Kriyananda says, this calmness is God, because we can, for whatever we need to perceive in His creation, and then we may perceive the essence, pure, the infinite spirit beyond creation. So, rightly so, our first step is to learn to feel God in our own heart. We all know that in God lies the solution to all our problems, but how difficult it remains to perceive Him in the tumult of our emotion, when we are overcome by pain, injustice, worries. We just forget. Oh, many times. And it's then that we need His presence. And that is the problem that unfortunately besets the majority of humanity when you're still in your human consciousness. But there is a remedy, however, and this suggestion comes from the Gospel, when Jesus and his disciples are on a boat, and then all of a sudden a tempest breaks loose. High waves, giant waves, and they were all scared, the disciples. It was frightening. And Jesus was on the boat, and he says, and they go to him, they run to him, Master, save us, we are about to drown. And Jesus says, what are you afraid of? Why? Have faith. Am I not here with you? What is there to fear for you? He opened, he stood up, he told the waves to calm down, and quiet returned. So, how can people said, who is this man whom even the waves obey? So he hears the secret suggestion to perceive his presence in our heart and to follow him with faith and trust. And so I would like to read something to you that Swami has written, wonderful, that says, you are with the Master now. He is always here. He is omnipresent. His love is a constant presence. Wherever you are, when you sincerely call Him, He is there with you. You are the magnet for His presence. All you need is to become more dynamically aware of His love than Him in your consciousness. Don't think of the Master as something from the past. Think of Him in this room. And most important of all, think of Him in your heart. So a spiritual principle, valid, has always been valid 2,000 years ago on the Lake of Galilee, and it is valid now as we are living our lives here. Open up, that we need to open up to this presence. So sometimes it says, have faith, and you may answer, how can I have faith? What does it mean? I feel worried, I feel upset about it. I don't know how to feel faith. But there is a suggestion. For example, the word faith comes from fides, which means to trust, to believe in something or someone. The suggestion to have trust, to trust in God, helps us to open up. It opens our heart. Yes, I know He loves me. I want to do this act of trust. I will open up to you. I'll put my trust in you. And then we see light in darkness, the light of His presence. We see that we feel supported in everything, even falsehood, injustice. We see the light of His will, of the truth. Even when there's destruction, we still live in His goodness. So the question then, can man see God in his heart? You can say yes. He has come, he has smiled to me, and he has said to me, "Peace be with thee, my son." I would like to share a story about with you in the life of, didn't hear the name. This was during the 40s, and so the Second World War was raging in Poland in 1939. That was invaded by the Nazis, and not just deporting Jews, but also spiritual leaders, intellectuals, Catholics. They were all deported. They were considered to be an inferior race. So Wojtyla was very young, so it's about the Pope, and many of the people that he was with were Jews, and so they would share with him studies, sport, friendship, acting. So they saw their own university closed. They saw all their friends being deported. How can you say this? How can you feel so impotent before this absolute evil? How can one man create so much pain to another person? And so a girl went to Wojtyla saying, "Which part are we? Which side are we taking? What must we do before this absurd and unrighteous situation?" And Wojtyla says, "We are on the side of those who have faith." Said by a person who doesn't experience persecution, may seem inefficient, but he lived in that faith. And so, in his answer, there was the power of God's love that comes and dissolves all the sorrow in the heart, and you feel free. Not just free, but also you have the capacity then to know how to enter in that situation, how to experience that situation. It gives you strength and courage that you can't imagine. Simply as a suggestion, have faith in me. Very simple, but it's at hand for each one of us, so we can see other aspects of Wojtyla's life. So, and what it means to live in faith. He was against his friends, of course, wanted to do something before this injustice. And so they were going into the armed resistance. Wojtyla didn't like that, even though he supported them morally and he appreciated their righteous desire for freedom. But he said, they will not be afraid of your bullets, they will not be afraid of your rifles, but they will be afraid of your words. And that's how it went. He fought his battle with other words. He wanted to find an answer to this horror. He wanted to find it in faith. He finished his studies in philosophy. And then after 6 years, the war stopped. But what remained was the great pain of the people, because then the country became still communist and still dictatorship. In there, even when they suspected someone to be against the regime, they would imprison them and torture them for years. And so he was, of course, he wanted to be part of the church, and then he becomes bishop, and he becomes a teacher at a university in the Polish cities. What was this problem then? That he was not allowed to mention God's name. Can you imagine? A priest. It's inconceivable. It doesn't make sense that he cannot speak about God. But he accepted this position, this imposition from the regime, because he was following a higher duty, a higher task. So he accepted it, and then he started teaching, but it was not real materialistic or atheistic. He taught to help people find inner freedom, the ethics of Christ, without even mentioning him. He taught how to be fearless and to live in truth, inner truth. He became so magnetic with young people. He was so successful. He gave shared joy with people, faith in them, gave them faith in themselves, even though they were still respecting the law. So they sent, then from the party they sent a spy among his friends and students, and they put microphones in where he gave confession to people, but he never said one word against the regime, nothing, because if he had said even one word against the regime, they would have had an excuse to put him in prison, and he would not have been able to carry on with his work and his service. And so he had a great success, because try to think that there was one in the regime who hated him so much, he wanted to kill him, and he wanted to convince others to kill him. He teaches our young people to be fearless, but we need them to have fear, to fear our cause. It's good if people, and it would be good for God if He existed. Fear we need. Our cause needs fear. And so many things happened like that. But Voitilan this way created a huge inner revolution, spiritual revolution. So to stay, then how do you feel in Christ's presence? He gives you peace, He gives you clarity, and He makes it possible that you become a channel of His presence on earth, even in impossible circumstances. But you will find a way that the divine plan be realized through you. The Lord will not punish anyone. So I'd like to read something to you. These. Once, this is from the Mass, from Yogananda. Once you have communion with God, nothing can take away His joy and His peace from you. Not even all the devastation of the world. When you are centered in God, where everything is lost, even where everything is, the Lord will dispose of things, will arrange things that they are available. Whatever you fear, take your mind off that and leave everything to God. Have faith in Him. Let the Lord be the torch as you walk the dark path of life. Seek His guidance. The world will continue to go on with its ups and downs. You remain in truth. In the end, everything will be fine, because God hid His goodness behind the superficiality of the paradoxes of earthly experiences. The only true freedom is found in God, so put all the effort you are capable of to get in touch with Him. Yoga teaches that where God is, there is no fear or pain. Thanks to daily devotional contact with the eternal source of security and true strength, we discover the power inherent in our soul to remain impassive in the roar of collapsing worlds. Isn't this beautiful? This is also remain unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds. And now I would like to finish by listening to a piece by Swami Kirananda. He sings it himself. And in this song, he says, have faith. And also, it announces that the destiny of those who have this faith dare to be different, dare to be free, have the courage to go far as the sun on the sea, as the wind on the sea. Lift up your hearts to the sky. Be strong in your courage when others despair. Never get angry. Go without pride, and never feel discouraged. Freedom is yours if you can give it to others. Give it freely. Give to others freely freedom, and you will live in freedom. Even mountains are not telling you not to dream or that everything is too high. Dare audaciously to climb them. Challenge the highest mountain tops. You will never be discouraged if you seek with faith.
Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air. Be strong in your courage when others despair. Never in anger, never in haste. Go without pride, be never abased. Freedom is yours if freedom you give. To all give it freely, in freedom you live. Mountains that stand up tall to the sky tell us no dreaming is ever too high. Dare to defy them, brave that high peak. You'll never know failure if victory you seek. Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air. Be strong in your courage when others despair.